Happy New Year, everyone. It's a new year and it's time to think about some new painting. I usually like to start the new year with some small paintings just to get my hand going once again after the holidays and using different materials. Mum gave me a whole load of pastels here, so let's see what I do with them. And I also thought it's a nice time to look at my book collection and add it in here too. So it's been a fun holiday and I thought to myself, let's get started with a small nook of a space in which I thought I'd do some small sketches just to, have some fun with it really. And I thought I'd arrange the space, so I've added some books like I showed you. I've got a plant there. And I thought I'd add in some of my art friends' artwork. So this is one of my art friends whose work is absolutely really fantastic, of course. Her name's Kay Bainbridge, and I'm going to link her down below if anyone's interested in looking at her work. She's got some fabulous pieces and won a few awards and things like that. So definite professional artist. That's what I like to think of myself as, a professional artist too, but really just painting every day. If that makes you a professional artist, then yeah, that's what I am. So I've got a few of my paintbrushes, just a few. And Mum over Christmas gave me this cute little paint set which looks like it's watercolour. I don't know even what the company is or anything because there's no paperwork with it whatsoever. It's just a little tin, which I think is really cute actually, and a very nice tin to take out and about. And you get this little brush with it, this water brush, so you can fill it with water. To be honest with you, I don't really like using these little water brushes, so that might not even get used. Might have to give that to somebody else, but it fits nicely in there, so I'm just gonna leave it in there for now. And I've got a few bits and pieces of paper. Now this is another watercolor set I put together myself, which I'll show you next time perhaps, but I'm going to start with a little bit of watercolor card. Actually this is not actually watercolor, it's the Fabriano print paper, cartridge paper from one of my journals, and I like to separate them and just tear them up into little bits so that I can, paint on the go, paint wherever I want. And I kind of decided it would be nice to have like a little space just to do small work in, because over Advent, over Christmas and December, I did a whole series which you may well have seen on the channel, and it was basically a series of shorts which was really nice and really fun to do. And although I usually do that sort of thing anyway, I'm always sort of painting something rather on a scrap of paper, it was nice to film it and record it and put some really great music to them as well. So I really love those little shorts, so they'll be there for anyone who wants to watch them. I also set up a Patreon page, and the longer versions of those shorts will be on that Patreon page, and I will link it down below for you so that you can head over there if you want to become a member. And there'll be perks and benefits as we go along. I obviously do tutorials and things, and I actually make artwork, which you might think, what? Anyway, so what I like to do when I get something new, a new piece of, new materials that is, or paper, I like to just, mess around and see what it does. And I'm going to do the same in this case. And the great thing about watercolour is you can just, because all the pans are there, the colour is just staring you in the face, you can just, pick up any colour and pop it down. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to secure my piece of paper, because it's going to it's going to go everywhere basically. So there we go, got a bit of blue, white tack. And I'm just going to, secure it there. And now I'm just going to, I've got a range of brushes, so I've got this quite thin brush, and I do like to use these thin brushes for small works, to be honest with you, because you can create some really nice lines and effects with them. And you don't really need a huge brush. I mean, it's a tiny piece of paper. So you can get quite a range of mark with a small brush. And again, the painting is going to be my normal intuitive type painting. I'm just going to do whatever. So it's not going to be a mosaic of squares or anything like that. It's going to be just random marks that I feel like making, because it's an intuitive painting, this one's going to be, and it's going to be abstract, of course. Whether it turns into something else afterwards is, you know, as we go along, is something we'll see. But you know, these paints, they're actually very vibrant, and I'm wondering if they're watercolor at all. They might well be some sort of gouache type paint, or even ink. There might be some ink type paint in there, or ink type ink in there. Is ink a paint? I don't know, but you can get ink you can get ink tense pans nowadays, so this may well be a pan with some ink mixed in to make it more vibrant. These seem like really vibrant paints, and they're working quite well on this paper, which is not actually watercolor paper. It's the other paper, the printmaking paper. But I think what I will do is, once I've finished doing this set, this little I say set, I mean this one painting. When I finish doing this one painting, then I might actually use them on some watercolor paper and see how they turn out. I've actually got a couple of little cards I've got to make, so let's see what I do with those. And really, when I'm painting, I'm just sort of messing around, adding in water, twisting the brush here and there. And I think the thing is, right, you know, when you're you know, starting just to do icebreaker type paintings, which is kind of what this is really, you know, before you get into the big one, the thing to do is to just have a bit of fun with it. You know, roll your brush around, pop the color on, take it off, just see what marks you can make. And I think mark making is quite essential for any kind of painting. Even if you want to do really graphic stuff or really representational stuff, the first point of call is to make the marks with it. And also, because we're talking about paint here and it's not pencil, you kind of have to see what the paint does and how the paint works as well. And so that's pretty much what I do with this sort of thing. So I've kind of been thinking about what I want to do this year. I did quite a lot of painting last year. I did a lot of little paintings, definitely. But I also did some large work, which I didn't really share here on the channel. Partly because, I mean, I did actually do like a whole video of this one collection I had done, and then I lost the whole video somewhere. So I think I deleted it by accident. Which is what happens when you get really busy. So I'm being a little bit better with my filing now, I think, you know, the video filing. And I'll have to reshoot that collection and share that. So it's something I want to share perhaps in January, but we'll see if I do. I might just do something else. I'm quite liking the idea of being inspired by small journeys. And recently I've been out and about doing some biking and some walking. Even though the weather has been a little bit dire, I've been out getting inspired, and I think those inspirations come back and become paintings. So I wanted to share some of those paintings that I'm doing. And I suppose in a way this is the first one, because, well, for this year, because I have been out and about and this is kind of one of the paintings that's being produced after those small travel episodes. So yeah, I think, and it's also quite a nice thing, isn't it, you know, to just, you know, you go out and you come back and then you just paint something. I think it's quite a nice idea. Obviously you can paint while you're out, do the plein air painting, which is good, and I do like doing it. However, the weather is, you know, we're talking about British weather here. And I admire those guys who are out in the field, you know, with their paints, Although I am thinking of making some kind of holder on my bike so that I can put the paints on my bike and then do it from there. So let's see if I manage any of that, because if I do, then that will definitely be making its way onto the channel. However, at the moment it's just I'm just going to add in probably video of some of my little adventures. Obviously not the whole adventure, because that would be hours, but you know, a little snippet here and there with some of the colors that could make their way into the paintings or some of the imagery. And generally I do like to be sort of where it's more natural, where there's some countryside perhaps, or scenic. But you know, just as well, I like the urban spaces. And when I used to be in Digbeth, there were some nice places you could walk about, observe the graffiti, etc. So there were some nice, you know, grungy looking spaces which definitely made their way into my paintings, I feel. And my work is definitely about spaces and places, whether they're landscapey places or urban places or city places. It's kind of really to do with whatever I see, or my perspective and my take on a space or a place. And I don't tend to put, like, for instance, figures in there or anything in there in particular. I always rely on the painting to reveal something. So if there is a figure in there, it's because just the way I've painted it, the figure has appeared. Or if there's something else in there, then it's just appeared. And I really like this way of painting where things just happen and things appeared. I didn't really think about, you know, what I was painting. I'm not going to paint a figure in there. I'm not going to paint a tree in there. But something has become evident and I can see it in there. And whether or not someone else can see it is a different matter. And everyone sees in a way what they want to see, or what their understanding of paintings or places is. So that's kind of a fun and interesting aspect to painting, I think. And I thought to myself, let's make a couple of little cards, because I do have a couple of birthdays I need to give cards for. And I usually do try and make the card specifically for the person, but then sometimes I'll make a batch and then people will get whatever. But this is a specific one for someone who's quite into the Japanese, what's the word, aesthetic. Yeah. But I thought to myself, let's base this on something we've got here in my new little space. And I'm thinking my friend Kay's work, very minimal and inspiring. So it's going to be a bit of a homage to her work. And I'm going to go with her aesthetic here and see where it goes. And even if you, for instance, like to copy somebody else's work, you're never going to do it exactly the same. You're always going to have your own bent in it. You're always going to have your own style or character in it. It's not going to be the same anyway. So it's quite nice sometimes to just recreate something or use their composition. It's not even recreating it really. I suppose it's using a composition. So for instance, here in Kay's piece of work, she's got 3 areas, and you've got the sky, which is kind of pinky, then you've got the blue of perhaps the sea, and then you've got the foreground, which is kind of an earthy colour or a reddish colour, and then you've got some odd little bits and pieces going on, you know, of interest as well. So I'm not quite sure what this painting is called actually, and I might ask her at some point, or if she actually watches this, I'm not quite sure if she does, she might pop a comment in and tell me what the painting's called. But I do love her work, and this was one of her postcards from quite a while back actually. And her aesthetic has slightly changed, or has it? I don't know. It's still very colourful, but even more colourful even than this piece of work, because this work is more minimal, I would say. But there are things going on in it. So I was sort of thinking about like Japanese gardens and things like that. But I do like the idea of perhaps the sea and the underwater aspect of it. So let's see how this develops. And with watercolour, things sort of mix and merge, and you get what's called blooms and things, and you can add in colour and it'll just mix with whatever's there. So sometimes things work really well, and sometimes you'll be like, whoa, what's going on? I usually like to just carry on painting, even if it's something I think that might not actually work and the composition fails or something goes wrong in it, or supposedly wrong. I don't think anything can ever go totally wrong with a painting. I think the painting is just a conduit of yourself, so what can go wrong with it. It's whatever you're doing, really, isn't it? So and also, if you think about it, it's not AI, is it? So yeah, it's going to be real, isn't it? Real. And real things never tend to be exact, which is something I also like about painting, that no two lines will ever be exactly the same, etc., etc. No two colours even will be exactly the same. I mean, they could be, but I think from the point of view of accident, perhaps, unless you go out of your way to make the colours exact, which some people do, of course. I'm liking it already, and it looks kind of different, but you can see that I have taken elements of Kay's painting and made this little painting. So and I think the person who's going to have this painting will really like it, because they're quite into the minimal. I might change that little black line at the top that I've popped in, because it's rather thick, isn't it? So maybe I want it sort of thinner than that. It looks a bit too thick. Too many things on that side, on the left hand side. And I've kind of, as you can see, I've just like popped a bit of water in there and sort of lightened that up a bit. Yeah, and I'm kind of liking that, so that's quite nice. I think it's a win. Already I've got 2 paintings down in this small space I've created, and I'm thinking now of making another painting, and this is for someone who likes perhaps they like flowers and things like that, so I'm going to just do some sort of colour combinations that could be flowers and vegetation, perhaps. I'm not really a flower painter as such, but I do sometimes like painting flowers and sort of sketching flowers in paint. I think it's quite a nice thing to do, and you can get some really nice effects, because I think also with watercolour painting, it doesn't have to be exact or anything. Flowers can be just little smudges within some greenery, or you can have some other backgrounds, of course, and you can add in whatever you want. So it's not necessary that the flowers are, oh, that's a rose or that's a fuchsia or anything like that. I think it can just be whatever it wants to be. And I have actually done some small motif paintings, which I haven't shared here either, but I did them also as presents for some family members. But I might actually pop in some of that here, and maybe not here, maybe in another video. I'll see. It depends if I can find the footage, is the issue. Because getting footage onto things is a little bit tricky sometimes, depending on where you filed it. Nope, my filing is now, it's like Miss Lemon's in Poirot. The filing system is great. Unfortunately, I'm a bit of a Captain Hastings as well, and sometimes it becomes a mess. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So I have got these little motif paintings, and I will be sharing those at some point. If I don't share them in this video, I'll share them in another video, just to show you what sort of things you can do. The whole idea of motif painting for me is to make it in some way abstract. I don't really want it to look exactly like the thing I can see, or exactly like the thing that's already out there. I don't really see the point, But that's a personal thing. I'm not saying that, it's something that everyone subscribes to. You obviously, you see a flower, you want to draw it, yeah, draw it or paint it, and paint it exact if you want to. It's a very much a personal thing how you want to paint. And for me, it's like I said, it's a process of enjoyment and fun, and I don't really want to get bogged down with any of the technical details of what I can see. I don't think it's necessary, but you know, you might think differently, like I said. But if you've got any comments about that, and if you've got any views on, you know, how one should paint, then do let me know. You can write comments down below. I would appreciate, obviously, positive comments, because, you know, it's nice to have a positive community rather than a negative one. And I have had a lot of really nice comments as well. So thank you to everyone who has commented on the channel and liked my work and liked the videos. So please do like and subscribe. I mean, it all helps the channel. And also head over to my Patreon page if you want to see more, or if you want to sort of join as a member, etc. Once the channel is larger, I think I can have a join button here. But anyway, we'll see. Well, I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have too. And I will see you next time. Happy painting!